That was a short. You're on.
Buenos noches, amigos. What the fuck? Jesus
God.
Christ.
Yes, huge news.
I cannot believe this is happening right now.
I know. I've accepted a new position. I will be starting tomorrow. I'm moving to Baltimore.
That's interesting you're moving to Baltimore, even though we're only there for one more day. But congratulations on being named the new Red Sox manager.
I can't. I'm in shock. I am in shock. I am in shock.
Yeah, there's really no other way to put it. If you have not heard yet, well, welcome. Yep. We are doing another emergency episode here. So, if you lived under a rock, the Red Sox have fired Alex Cora, Pete Fozzie, the Kyle Hudson third base coach. They've reassigned Jason Varitek to a different role outside of coaching. And my bench coach Ramon Vasquez.
Ramon Vasquez too.
Yeah, just feels like everybody, but
cleaned house.
Cleaned house.
Yeah. I are they? I don't even know what to say. Like, are they even scapegoats at this point? Because like that is everyone except Andrew Bailey. That is the whole coaching staff.
Yeah. Pretty much. It was funny since Andrew Bailey was Craig Breslow's hire.
Right.
Technically, Alex Cora was too. That doesn't really matter too much right now.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I was absolutely shocked that they went this bold with it. I wouldn't have been that surprised if, you know, they just fired Pete Fozzie or they, you know, maybe let go somebody else in the organization. Oh, and Major League strategist Joe Cronin was also fired, so almost forgot about that.
Oh,
yeah,
sure. I guess you forget about him because he's so behind the scenes, right? But like, I'm truly shocked. Like, I was hoping Fatsy would go. I was hoping maybe Kyle Hudson would go, but Hudson and Fatsy and Cora and Vasquez and Varitek.
Yeah,
that's everyone. That is everyone in the dugout.
And obviously the big one's Alex Cora, and usually the rest of the staff.
That one was the most surprising.
Yeah,
to me.
And you know, he's been here for a while. He's been rehired through us. He won a World Series, but yeah, I mean, the last few years, super disappointing. You know, we got back to the playoffs last year with him, and I think that, you know, kind of held his job security since things were going in the right way. And then it has just been an absolutely disastrous season. Like, no other way around it. I think Friday night was the nail in the coffin. Very funny timing that it happened after we won 17-1 today.
Right.
You know, we took Alex Cora down by the pond to look at the flowers, Lenny.
The Rabbits are 17-1 against the Orioles.
Yeah.
Bang!
Yeah, literally,
Boom.
just take them right back to the shed and get you know, just have them be happy on that farm.
Just look. I don't even know what Cora is the most surprising to me.
Absolutely.
They just handed him an extension and a paycheck. I think Cora, as a manager, I have liked watching him. Some of the decisions I've questioned, but last year he had a team that went to the postseason after they put money into it. Do you think the 27 games we've seen so far is enough of a litmus test for this season to say that Cora is not the guy for this job?
Yeah, I do. I'm surprised it still happened this early, but hey, they were aggressive and decisive about it, I guess. But
I would agree this was aggressive and decisive.
You don't even need to be an expert or like an insider or anything to know the vibes were rancid this year. Top to bottom, pretty much from the start of the season. You know, there were so many questions. I think so much internal conflict of, you know, power positions and everything like that. And nothing was going right. You know, we had maybe a few stretches where we had some good games and, you know, but in terms of consistency for this year, I don't think we've won more than 2 games in a row.
Well, tomorrow's the day.
Yeah, we're still on pace to lose 100 games at this rate of the season. So even with today's one. So, you could see it whether it was like Carlos Narvaez having to get benched or the Duran incident or what was the one or yesterday with the Brian Bayo, like Alex Cora literally coming out to the mound and being like, you know, grow up.
What
Essentially,
the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
right,
literally. So you could tell that just nobody was happy.
Mhm.
Like, why would you be happy in a situation where you're, 9-17 at one point,
Mhm.
and the last there was such high expectations for everything.
Mhm.
So, I am glad they did it now, because otherwise, like, you're just keep going down with the ship.
There,
Yeah,
there is still time to correct.
there's
if you
still
do it
time to
now.
correct course. Like, this is a wake up call for everybody on the team. If they're willing to fire their entire coaching staff, yeah, hey, maybe if you're not performing, even if the team gets back into it at the deadline, you're gone. You saw them ship out Rafael Devers for last year
Yeah.
for like pennies on the dollar, which
For
ended,
potato
yeah,
chips, right.
Yeah, which ended up working out good for us. But
Yep.
anyways, yep. That conversation for another day. So absolutely shocking still.
Yeah, I'm still processing it personally. Why do you think, even amongst the pitching struggles this year, that Andrew Bailey was kept safe?
I think it's also part of process. So I think, it's not only just like pitching struggling, because, a lot of that comes from, like, let's say Garrett Crochet having a stinker. And I don't think that's necessarily Andrew Bailey's fault. And, I am a little surprised that, if you're just going this full balls to the wall anyways, why not? Like, and, you're going to have to hire, a new manager, whether, we haven't even talked about the interim manager, Chad Tracy, whether it's him going to be long-term, or, whoever it ends up being. Like, they want to make their own staff, and I think they deserve to do that. Or, maybe Craig Breslow is just like complete, stick in the mud, and it's like, I'm hiring everybody. So
Yeah, it also kind of gives Craig Breslow the chance to control the narrative on this one, because we've all been saying this was a flawed roster. We've also all been saying this team was underperforming.
Craig Breslow is just as much of a problem as Alex Cora, is about this club. Yeah,
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
But Craig Breslow gets to decide, coaching staff, I'm getting rid of you. It kind of gives him the chance to say, maybe the problem was the coaching staff and not my roster.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And to a degree, I do kind of agree with that, because you look at this team and they should be a whole lot better than they are. This is obviously an imperfect team with the outfield logjam, and Peyton Tolley should be up and playing for us, and you have some injuries here and there too. But this club still should be a whole lot better than it is right now. This club should be at least 500. This club, has had a lot of just extremely frustrating losses, especially to the Yankees, and really just about everybody, it feels like. So you needed some type of shakeup, and I don't think just anything short of doing this would have really actually been like a wake-up call, but this really is.
Yeah, aggressive and decisive. That's a great way to put it. This was quite aggressive, quite decisive. What do we know about Chad Tracy?
Yeah, he's been the Woo Sox manager for a bit now, I think, even probably at least the last few seasons. So guys seem to love him. Obviously, it's nice when you have guys that have played for him, like Roman Anthony and Willier, Jaron Duran, even. So a lot of these guys are Meyer. Yep. A lot of these guys are already familiar with him, and I think that makes a big difference. And I think the veterans are gonna like him too, from everything that I understand about him. So the truth is, we don't really know. We've seen interim managers even take the reins and earn that job. It happened last year in Pittsburgh, even. So he has the opportunity of a lifetime, not only, whether it's with the Red Sox, but for another team if he's able to correct course. So excited to see him. I don't know him too much personally, but it's good that, we hired somebody internally, obviously, which you're going to do an interim position. And we'll see if, he ends up being the manager for the full year, or if they just start that process of looking for somebody now, essentially.
I just realized the fucking jersey that you are wearing.
Oh, yeah.
Was this purposeful?
A bit, yeah. It went with the fit anyways. But
okay.
Yeah. This was a little Depop find. Yeah, we got the nice vintage Colt 45s. So a nice gun firing. Yeah, it ended up working out well. Number 24, which I believe is for Joe Morgan. And then we got this nice little hat here that has some horses on it.
Okay. Yeah, but you wore the jersey with a gun on it after we put down the entire coaching staff.
No, we turned them right into glue.
Yeah. Turned him into glue, turned him into poop, turned
Yeah.
him into manure, pushing up daisies. Does, in your mind, switching out this coaching staff give this team a better shot at a winning season?
Couldn't be much worse, right? Yeah, I don't think you could have just kept on going like this and expected to have a winning season. That ship doesn't right itself. So, um, I I hope it turns around here. We're not so far the season over at this point. Like we are 7 games under 500. You know, good week and you're back like in the
Right.
contention with everything. Nobody's really run away with anything in terms of the wild card spots. So still very possible to sneak in there. Today, our postseason odds are about 30% right now. So
Ouch.
it's about 60% to start the season. So,
Yeah, I
and
think
we've
it was
already cut
even
our
higher.
half. Like this is a big hole to overcome. Like we went from having a better half of a coin flip to having to luck our way in at this point.
So, what I would ask then is, are you sad to see Alex Cora go, or any other person in particular from this firing, from Order 66 that Craig Breslow has ordered to happen?
Yeah, and I am a bit sad. Yeah, this is not a good thing at the end of the day that we're in this position. We have to do this, and we fired our manager of the last 7+ years, and I'm including 2020. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It counts.
Yeah,
He
it
was
totally
here.
counts. And a guy that did win a World Series with us, and we have seen it before where they fired John Farrell after 2 postseason appearances, and you know what? We've seen it happen a few times already with Tito Francona and John Farrell and Alex Cora. Sometimes you just need to get a new voice in there, and it really does shake things up and kind of gives a new perspective and new direction with everything. So I'm hoping that's what happens. It's worked in the past for us, so we'll see if it works again.
Is there anyone out there right now that you think would be a suitable fit for this job? Or do you think right now Chad Tracy just kind of has the leeway to get it done?
Yeah, I think we're not going to see anything within the next week or two, obviously. Where it's going to be a long process. Who even really wants to, this time of year? Who's really out there that's going to be,
saying.
wanting to just come in and, learn on the fly. So it is very hard to say. The one name I was even thinking earlier today before any of this, I was like, former Red Sox legend David Ross is just out there hanging out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, and he has managerial experience. He only got fired because the Cubs hired what's his face as their manager instead. Blanking
Sure.
doesn't matter right now.
Yep.
Craig Counsell.
Oh,
So they
there you
hired
go.
Craig Counsell and then they fired David Ross, and he's been hanging out ever since. Do I think it's perfect? No. Do I think it's even going to happen? Probably not. But we are going to see, a whole new cast of characters.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if David Ross had a role on this team. They have to replace 5 coaches.
Yeah, absolutely.
like-
You gotta. I think David Ross would be a perfect bench coach. Even we did get one other coaching announcement.
Was it like Chad Epperstein or
yeah,
something?
Chad Epperson will serve as the interim third base coach. So yeah.
Sure. Well, there are jobs.
Oh, and we Colin Hetzler will serve as the club's major league hitting coach essentially. So do we want to just read off the whole statement from the Red Sox,
sure.
or the whole
Yeah.
official statement?
Bring it on.
Okay. The Boston Red Sox today announced that the club parted ways with manager Alex Cora along with 5 members of the Major League coaching staff: hitting coach Pete Fotze, third base coach Kyle Hudson, bench coach Ramon Vasquez, assistant hitting coach Dylan Lawson, and Major League hitting strategy coach Joe Cronin. Game planning and run prevention coach Jason Varitek has been reassigned to a new role within the organization. Details of his assignment will be announced at a later date. And then this is a quote here, I'm assuming from John Henry. Yep. Alex Cora led this organization to one of the greatest seasons in Red Sox history in 2018. And for that, in the many years that followed, he will always have our deepest gratitude. He has had a lasting impact on this team and on this city. He has led on and off the field in so many important ways. These decisions were never easy, but are one of the. But this one is especially difficult given what Alex has meant to the Red Sox since the day he arrived. I want to thank Alex, our coaches, and their families for everything they have given to this organization. They have been part of this club in a way that goes beyond the field and will always have our respect and gratitude. And then, yeah, just Chad Tracy, who has served as the Red Sox AAA manager since 2022, and all the other, announcing people. So, yeah, yeah.
I think, I mean, statements from CEOs and ball clubs are always like some kind of gratitude for like, oh, it's been a pleasure to have them. But like, I think that was really well put by John Henry. And I think he's fucking right. And I think that's what's so shocking about Cora being fired is it was the greatest Red Sox season in Red Sox history. What he's done for this ball club since then, he has served as a really steady island rock, whatever you would want to call him, especially last few years when we're seeing so much adjustments from within the team, overturned trades, all that stuff. And what Cora has done for the Red Sox and for the city of Boston has been significant. So I think John Henry's statement there, he nailed it. And I truly don't think there's anything else you could say. And that is why Cora being released is the most surprising.
Yeah, no, I thought it was just going to be everybody around him. But I think, honestly, if everybody around him was fired and, like, all of his guys that he chose for his staff, he may have just left at that point anyways. So,
Sure.
like, I feel like, you kind of have to cut off the head of the snake at that point and not calling Alex Cora a snake.
Yeah.
Using a metaphor here, folks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The tail will grow back.
Exactly. So, I think definitely John Henry being at a lot of these games and actually watching this product this year accelerated things 100%. So, like, you've seen him be so much actually more just there. He's just here. Like, it's weird. Like, it's like when the owner of the business shows up at your restaurant, like,
Right.
you're like, oh shit, I got to be on my best behavior today. And then everybody starts just like coming in smelling like weed and dropping dishes on the floor.
Yeah, and suddenly people got to get real cool about a lot of stuff real fast.
Yeah.
So then the final question that I would ask you, kind of in relation to that too, is do you think John Henry was attending these games to evaluate his coaching staff, or do you think that just happened to be the product of John Henry attending these games?
No, I don't think John Henry there is the reason that they were playing bad. I mean,
no, the opposite. Do you think John Henry is going to these games so he can say, what do I think of my coaching staff?
Yeah.
Or do you think he's going to these games to say, how's my team looking? How are my players? Who do I want to invest in?
Yeah, I think it's honestly a bit of both. I think, it even goes beyond the product on the field. I think he wants to see, the crowds at Fenway, looking good and, not like getting just mogged by Yankees fans like we did this last week here. I think, people forget he owns the entire entity of Fenway and the ball club. Like, there's a lot of other pieces that are involved in that too. So I think from top to bottom, he was just not happy with what he saw. And obviously, the product on the field is what's really going to bring people in.
We also were not happy with what we were seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that really, made the big difference here. I don't think he's ever going to sell, and I don't think, Liverpool fans being upset phases him either, so it's still crazy.
By the way, you have been caught from @ToTheFlowers breaking. Jack calls Cora a snake live on the air.
Oh, man, yeah, chap, don't clip that. Don't clip that. Yeah.
No, it doesn't hear when you say don't. It only hears, damn it. Don't worry, I won't grab those clips. But I'm definitely shocked. Was there anything else on your mind, in relation to this, or anything else you wanted to mention before we kind of like sign off on our emergency reporting here regarding the firings?
I'm really interested to see, the press conference tomorrow from Craig Breslow, and I think Andrew Bailey's going to be there. I mean, obviously, with something like this, I want to hear from John Henry too. Like,
Yep.
this is his decision at the end of the day. Like, Alec, Craig Breslow does not have the authority to fire the entire staff without getting the approval of John Henry, at least. So,
Yes.
yeah.
You can't do that without John Henry's
Yeah, you
approval.
can't do that without John Henry. So it'll be very interesting to, hear Alex Cora and everybody else's reactions to it, since I'm sure, that's going to get out there. And, if there's one thing I know about Fenway Sports Group is they love kicking people on the way out. So, we are going to hear so much dirt just about Alex Cora and, the rest of the hitting staff and everything else coming out in the next few days. So this is obviously, big tip of the iceberg, but there's a lot underneath that, a lot of people don't know yet. And, we're going to get a book about it in 10 years where we hear all the dirty details about what was really going on and why Carlos Narvaez got benched and everything like that. So, I'm almost a little excited for all that too. Like, hey,
Sure.
Gives us plenty of content to talk about. So, it's still truly one of the most unbelievable days in Red Sox history, and it feels like we're having one of those every year.
Yeah.
Like twice a year at this point. There's just something where we need to do an emergency pod because everything is shit and fucked up.
Yeah, every season for the last 3 seasons, we have had to do an emergency pod for some reason.
Yeah.
And this is definitely emergency
Yeah,
pod.
it's always fun when it's like an extension or a signing or something.
Crochet,
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah,
Yippee!
Roman Anthony. Woo.
Yeah. The whole coaching staff has been fired.
Yeah.
Spooky. Well, thank you for coming on Emergency Pod. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, Believe Network.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We will. And you had to come back from your date night
Yep.
dinner. I'm still
We
in
were
my
wrapping
baseball
up at
outfit.
least, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of big news. Reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, what have you. But really big day in Red Sox history. And I think I love you. No, I love you. No, I love you. Okay, I love you. Bye. No,
Okay,
I love you. Okay, I
bye.
love you. Bye. It's the